Colleen Sostorics grew up playing hockey in rural Saskatchewan. From her beginnings in Kennedy, she would eventually reach the pinnacle of women's hockey 3 times, the Olympics. But it all started at her hometown rink, which sits on the road that now bears her name.
The story that likes to be told now that so much time has passed since I started playing hockey is that I was just watching, the NHL with my parents and, probably Hockey Night in Canada. And I just said, can I play? And I was 4 years old, and this is about 1984. So I have my parents to thank for saying, yeah, I think you can play. So off I went to the rink in my brother's old equipment, and the rest is sort of history.
As one of 2 girls growing up in her hometown playing against male competitors, Colleen excelled at the game and was co-captain of her bantam team. 1 year earlier, she served as assistant captain of the silver medal-winning Saskatchewan women's hockey team at the 1995 Canada Winter Games. Although she didn't have the same opportunities when she grew up playing the game, Sostorics eventually saw a future for herself playing women's hockey.
Actually, when I was playing in Kennedy, I was going to be the first girl to play in the NHL. I was going to play on a line with Al McInnes. I was going to be on the Flames team, and that was my dream growing up as a young person. But as time goes on, I start growing at 5'4", like with skates on. So I realized that I probably wasn't going to make it into the NHL. And about that time, I found out that women's hockey was going to be in the '98 Olympics. And that was going to be the first time for women's hockey. So I actually had a tangible goal.
However, to do that, she would have to head west. She would also have to turn down scholarship opportunities from the United States.
Graduating high school, like anyone, you have some choices to make. So I made the choice to go to Calgary to train at the Olympic Oval. There were some other athletes there that were already on the national team. So you want to be the best, train with the best. So moved to Calgary, attended university because that's what I wanted to do, or that's what I understood that you do. And back then you could play for multiple teams. It wasn't quite as structured, all the women's hockey as it is now. So I played with the Dinos as well as with the Calgary Oval Extreme for 3 seasons before having to make a choice between where to play there, as well as started my career on the national team.
In Calgary, she began her journey with the National Women's Hockey Program, first with the Under-22 team before joining the National Women's Team in 2000. Sostorics was a mainstay on the blue line with Team Canada for many years, competing in World Championships and the Olympics. She made her Olympic debut at Salt Lake City in 2002.
Of course, I knew what the Olympics were, and I had watched the Olympics and had the goal of being the Olympics, but until you've actually participated in that and been there, I never really understood the scope of it. Until actually going to Salt Lake and seeing all the Olympic rings and being immersed in the Olympic Village and meeting all the other athletes. Some great stories came out of those games, so there's a lot that I learned from many other athletes in the sport. But one thing that springs to mind when you ask that is when we came back and they said however many million people in an interview were watching the game, I thought, my goodness, I'm glad I didn't know that before the game started, because that's sort of when I realized this is a big deal.
Sostorics remained a member of the team for the 2006 Olympics in Turin and the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver. She played in 14 games over 3 Olympic appearances, finishing with 9 points. The Olympics were the pinnacle of Sostorics' career, but in retrospect, the highlights went far beyond points and medals.
My first years on the national team, there was actually 4 of us from Saskatchewan on the national team, and I think that is something that our province could really be proud of. There was Haley Wickenheiser, of course, myself, Kelly Bouchard from Sedley, Dana Antel from Esterhazy, and these were girls that, with the exception of Haley, that also played on the '95 Canada Games team with me that won that silver medal. So it's very nice to continue in a career with people that you played with in your youth. So, and I'm fortunate enough to call many of those girls still my friends today. That's something about sport, is that when you achieve something on the world, on the national, on the provincial stage, these are players that you'll then walk your life through with them.
Installed in the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame on September 28th, 2019, Colleen Sostorics.